Hey, this is Tracy Lewis with Stuff and Things. Today is Winter is Coming Wednesday, episode 14. We are currently hanging out down in the Keys of Florida. They are absolutely beautiful. It is very hot here, like the same temperature, but more humid. And it is more difficult for us with this non-shaded area that we're at to keep our house cool. But we have been managing quite nicely. We're here until tomorrow morning, and then tomorrow morning we get to head to the Everglades for a couple nights, and we will officially be off the grid. So I am working on getting this video done so that I can have it posted today and scheduled to launch on Wednesday, since I will be driving home on Wednesday. So today's project is actually inspired by a project that I did crafting with Libby a while back. So it uses the leaves of holly, the boughs of holly paper, the dies and not the stamps, and then the sentiment is "to you and yours this Christmas" from Brightest Glow. So we found a pin, and I will include the pin on my blog. And the inspiration pin was with rectangles. So I'm now going to delve into an area that I know that the Stampin' Up purists, which for the last 5 years I have really been Stampin' Up purist. I don't have room for non-Stampin' Up products, but Stampin' Up can only have so many products. And you know, sometimes they retire something that is of course near and dear to my heart. I had a selection of items that were keep forevers, but then in July I decided I had so many keep forevers that I was just going to list everything for sale, and some of those items sold. Specifically, one item that flew off the shelf was the ovals dies, layering ovals dies. So I looked, and there are no ovals to speak of. The only ovals they have right now is a punch, and it's just one smooth oval and one scalloped oval, and of course there's no size variation. So what I had to do was decide if for the first time in 5 years I was going to actually buy some non-Stampin' Up ovals. So I went ahead and did that. Hadn't used them, and that's what I ended up doing with that rectangle inspiration pin, was did an ovals version. So I will share that with you today. I will put the ovals up that I bought. I did get them from Amazon, and I've read through very carefully the Demonstrator agreement, and if there isn't a product that matches what you need, like there are no ovals, so I am okay with doing videos of ovals. And for those purists, I'm sorry that I failed you. I even failed myself, but I am very happy that I had ovals, because I'm going to then show you the difference between the two. And hopefully Stampin' Up will get ovals back soon, and then I can buy them and use them in these videos. So the second product that I went ahead and bought, and this was not on Amazon, pricing on Amazon for these is not the best. I went ahead and bought some threads. If you've been using Stampin' Up products for a while, there are threads. So I bought these at Hobby Lobby using a coupon, and they alternate the sewing supplies with the crochet supplies. And I bought baker's twine with gold and silver. It came as a set of 5. So I will be in the next episode or two, I'm going to go over a bow making episode that specifically talks about making really fancy bows, because I am determined that I am going to make layered fancy bows, and I'm going to have to use these threads and the crochet baker's twine. There are no metal wrapped baker's twines this year, sadly. I had been using the one that was Misty Moonlight white, both thin baker's twines together wrapped in silver, and that had worked really well for the last couple of years. So I just wanted to get that out of the way so that nobody is surprised, and I'm sorry if I'm going to get a ding for doing it, but at some point there will be products that just they have to retire them because there's only so many, and then they have their cycles of the different products they want. So I'm okay with that. I have come to terms with it and decided after I sold enough of my stuff that now I have a little bit of room, and I have taken up a tiny bit of the room to get these couple of items that Stampin' Up no longer carries. So here is the card that I made. It uses the Simply Elegant gold cord. I went ahead and did a bow with it and the 1/4 inch crinkle ribbon. I used Forest 3D. I actually already had this white piece. You can see that I went ahead and cut out. I always cut out from my mats where I can. So this piece is retired, and since I was already using non-Stampin' Up products, I actually used the gold thread. And in the next episode, I will spend the time to show you how I make these bows without using any extra bow tools. I know there are tools out there that are fun. You can use a fork, and I'm going to show how to do it without using anything. So this is my inspiration. This year's glitter, we have like 5 different glitter options, and this is from the one that has the green, the very vanilla glitter, and gold. Then I used foil. I made a second layer. This particular label die is from Brightest Glow, and then I also used foil. So I mixed different gold textures. I think it came out really nice. Alright, so back to the inspiration pin. Sorry, Hub had come in with groceries, so I took a little break. And then I went and did the same layers, doing rectangle, and I have not assembled it all yet. So I'm using the Wintry 3D bows, and I wanted to show you when I embossed it. I went ahead and picked somewhere over the middle vertically, and I think you will see when we are done and it's all assembled that you won't even be able to tell where the second layer of embossing was done. So this is what it is going to look like. I used a combination of the rectangles, stitched rectangles, as well as manual cuts. So I wanted the green to be a thinner cut than what I would get if I had used the stacked versions of the stitched. So after I cut the stitched, I went ahead and manually cut the green using my trimmer. And then I have a fancy bow that I did using 3 different layers, and it has I hear a noise. Just a minute, I'm going to investigate this. All right. Okay, picture taken, but I noticed when I do my mats, the corners all have to overlap, and I noticed a edge or two of these edges overlap and kind of are too far overlapping. So I am going to spruce this up. Here's one here that needs a quick trim. The devil is in the details. All right, folks, that was the ice cream golf cart coming by with its music. And if I wasn't busy doing this video, I would have ran out there and purchased myself some ice cream. Okay, so I am going to go into detail on this type of fancy bow next week. So just giving you a little sneak peek. And so the little bit different with this bow is that it was the gold Simply Elegant, and for this week's bow I used the new Baker's Twine with the gold trim because I just picked that up. Oh, and I used a 3rd organdy with the little AB tiny sequins on it. and with the seaming tape. So it's got a little more substance to it. All right, so I've already taken and with a separate piece. Now normally I always tell everybody to cut out of your mats, but there was this vertical line. So had I done this, thinking ahead of time, I probably would have done it horizontally and then had hoped to hide this line behind all the stuff. So as it was, I was afraid that my line would show if I had cut the white out of the middle. So I went ahead and took a smaller piece and ran it through with the bows. Then instead of using a full piece of the gold like I did, I will tell you that I used this gold on the oval and I did not cut out the middle like I should have. I feel so naughty. But in the back here, you'll see that I did my strips. And I know it does not look the same when you do strips, but I think it is worth saving the material. Well worth it. So I'm actually going to show you what this would look like if it was more of a white on white, just for fun. So these are the two largest holly leaves in the Leaves of Holly set, and I used the largest little pine fronds die. On the oval one I used the smallest one. So there's what I'm thinking if you wanted to have it be mostly white. And I might take a picture of it. If I'm going to assemble this, I might go away now and just take a picture of it this way, because this is very nice as well. So you can decide. I think I'm going to move in the bow like I did on the oval, and that is one way to do the card. And I think that looks beautiful. And I'm going to go away now, take a quick picture, and then I'll come back. Alright, so I trimmed off one corner. This corner is also overlapping. I honestly think that you could leave these little tiny bitty tails and it would be okay. But, alright, so now I got a picture of all that. And now, I may or may not speed this up. It depends on how long it takes. I went ahead and cut the sprigs from my green mat. So that is a big tip. The one thing I've noticed over time of using this seal is I've gotten used to it. If you've never used it and you're thinking of using it, the one thing is it has a tendency to pull. It's a very gummy adhesive, and so when you pull it apart, it'll actually peel off on the roller back enough that it sometimes won't catch when you start to roll again. That time it worked. So now I'm feeling it, and there is no goop left on the roller, so that there is the need to just go ahead and roll it. You can even see it, look at that. So you just have to roll it a tiny bit so that when you put it on the paper, there is a little bit of the gummy on the roller so that you can roll it. So that is the secret to these. Now, the other thing I've noticed that people do with these seals is they tend to go sideways. They will roll and then do a little flick, and here's what happens when you do that. This tape it's a clear 1/4 inch, a little bit fatter than a 1/4 inch though, 3/8 maybe. And so when you flick it, you will eventually kind of pull some of the gummy will start coming off onto the white end. So I actually don't recommend that you do that, even though I see it done all the time. I just recommend that you kind of pull with a very, very small flick sideways so that you don't get the tape runner to be crooked. All right, so we've got our pieces. Now I have to send my cards through the mail, so I am not going to layer it up as much as you might like to with a card like this. If I were giving this in person, I would absolutely be making more layers. I would build it up and make it all big and fluffy. See, so there I need to roll it a tiny bit. I would say, trying to get technical about it, you get probably 2 to 3 pulls before you have to roll the roller, if that makes sense. And if you have any specific questions about the seal, you can leave them on the video. I will be happy to answer them to the best of my ability. I do not think that these poinsettias have a right side up or an upside down. If you want to, you can take a look at how it looks both ways if there is a need in your mind to be particular about the direction, but I am fine with it in any direction. I thought it would be fun to assemble the card with you guys. Usually I feel like I don't want to waste your time, but well, every once in a while it's kind of fun to go through, because as I'm assembling it, I'm thinking of different tips to give you guys. All right, so that looks great. Like I said, I don't see a difference top to bottom. I also have come up with, well, Hub did, thank goodness, a new way of putting my camera over my head so that it is not sitting on the floor, because when it sits on the floor, it's very shaky. So we have set mine up and attached it to the cabinet with Velcro, of all things, and that so far is working really well. So I do feel that the direction of these boughs makes a difference. I feel, for whatever reason, that everything going up, this long piece going up, is better than going down. I'm not sure why, so that is the way I'm gonna work it. And I need to do a better job of centering. And the seal, if you've also not used it before, you get a little bit of wiggle room with it. And then I am now officially a Floridian, and I have been told, though I haven't made the change yet myself, glue is better than tape because of the humidity. So if you have an opinion on that, I would love to know what you think between glue and the adhesive runner. So I'm going through and using up all my adhesive runner before I switch to glue, but I do, when I go to my card classes, they use glue, and so I'm getting good practice for the time when I switch to using glue. All right, so now I've got to make my little assembly. I typically use dots for this. I even take my dot, cut it off, and we'll cut it into pieces, sometimes quarters. In this case, these are bigger pieces, so I'll go ahead and do it in halves. And I like to, well, I might be almost done with my, yeah, look at that. So I do have a very old, the glue dots dispenser that I put my dots in. I am down to, like, here we go, last 5. I definitely have more packages though, so I'm preparing to be able to attach these. And I typically like, one of the things that you can do as another tip, if you take a small piece of reject, in fact, let me do it that way, because I find that that works really well. I like to create a base on my focals. I have white. All right. So, taking from a piece of white that obviously I had fussy cut something, if I just cut out a fairly small piece, and that might even get trimmed down more. So now I have a nice little base to work on creating my assembly. I also can assemble it in place, but then still move it around possibly. So, oops, you get to see all of my silliness with my hands, which are not the best. Never have been, probably never will be. So I am so now I have my little base here. I do know that I want the berries to be above the bow. So I'm just testing now to see where I would put the berries on my white back. And I think there is good. I could pop this layer up, which is another reason for creating my base, because now see I have a nice area to put a dimensional. The ends of the hollies I'm going to go ahead and let not be popped up, but I do want this top area to be popped up, and then I'm also going to pop up my sentiment. Alright, so that's in place. Now I will use my last couple of pieces to add a little bit of this is garden green. I do want the garden green to be on the white so that it shows up well. I'm not sure if I'm going to use 3 pieces. I only used 2 of the hollies because they're so big. And I might try to get 2. And you tell me if I'm being too picky. I have always cut my dots into smaller pieces. Okay, so now I have to see. I think I do want to use 3. One of these I'm going to get dimensionals out. I now have this wonderful cabinet that holds all of my supplies. So I just reach down, open the drawer. I have been using the paper pumpkin dimensionals lately because I have accumulated so many of them. So that is another savings trick. If you do use paper pumpkin, you can keep the extras to use on your projects. All right, so there's that. I do need one more dot off the roll that is just about gone. I do feel that this right here, I have done no raised up layers. I will have to run this through the jig. I have a male jig that's 1/4 inch thick opening, and this might be a problem, and so I will test that first, but I'll take a picture of it this way before I test that, because I might have to remove the pop dot if it's too thick. to go through the jig. Now, one of the things, if I bring this out while I'm preparing, you'll notice there's no dots or sequins or rhinestones. And I am not sure what I'm going to put on these. So I have an order that I'm placing that is going to have what I think is going to be perfect on them, so I am not going to put embellishments. And there you go, I have finished the assembly. Here's what they look like. I will get some photography and have all three, the all white version and these two as well, in the showcase at the end. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns about what you've seen here today, you can leave them here on the video or over on my blog. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and thanks for watching.